Before crowns and empires, humanity discovered beauty that could be worn. Jewelry was more than decoration, it was identity forged in metal and stone. From river valleys to desert kingdoms, power first glittered in gold. In Mesopotamia, artisans learned to twist copper into spirals that caught the dawn. Gold and lapis lazuli arrived through distant trade routes. Each piece was a symbol not of wealth, but of divine favor. Queens of Ur wore headdresses heavy with gold leaves and carnelian beads. When they walked, their jewelry sang a melody of status and faith. The sound itself was meant to please the gods. The famous royal tombs of Ur revealed necklaces, rings, and crowns buried with noble women. Archaeologists found them lying as if still ready to rise. Even in death, power demanded adornment. In ancient Sumer, men too wore precious ornaments, belts, earrings, and amulets of lapis and gold. Jewelry was language, telling the world where one stood in hierarchy. To shine was to rule. Across the desert sands, Egypt turned jewelry into eternity. Here, gold was the flesh of gods, and lapis lazuli the veins of heaven. No ruler could face the afterlife without both. Pharaohs wore broad collars of turquoise, amethyst, and faience colors chosen for spiritual power. Blue for life, green for rebirth, red for victory. Every gem carried magic, and every thread tied a prayer. Even servants in the royal court bore small golden charms. They believed a fragment of the divine metal could guide them safely through chaos. Jewelry was their passport to eternity. In workshops near Thebes, goldsmiths melted treasures under clay furnaces. They shaped amulets of scarabs and falcons, symbols of protection and rebirth. Each piece carried a whisper of immortality. The tomb of Tutankhamun revealed the empire's obsession with adornment. Bracelets stacked to his elbows, jeweled rings on each finger, even sandals studded with gold. The Indus Valley people made jewelry not from gold alone but from beads of agate, jasper, and shell. Their art was quiet yet sophisticated restraint shaped by balance. They wore harmony, not extravagance. Mohenjo-daro's artisans drilled holes into tiny stones with bow-powered tools. They strung them into long necklaces that swayed like prayer rhythms. Even without gold, their beauty rivaled kings. The designs followed geometry, circles, triangles, repeating lines. Their symmetry reflected an orderly cosmos. Wearing them was to align oneself with the universe. Traders carried Indus jewelry as far as Mesopotamia and Oman. A woman in Ur might have worn a necklace crafted thousands of miles away. Gold traveled where languages failed. In early China, jade replaced gold as the symbol of purity and rank. The smooth green stone represented virtue itself, harder than steel, yet delicate as breath. Emperors wore jade discs called by, linking heaven and earth through their circular perfection. No emperor was crowned without one. Its color was said to calm storms and temper hearts. Women of the Shang dynasty wore jade bangles so tightly they could never remove them. The permanence symbolized loyalty, a bond between flesh and virtue. Every ring was a vow. In Egypt and China alike, only the elite could afford such sacred materials. The poor wore copies in bronze or clay, symbols of aspiration. Even imitation held dignity. As trade expanded, so did the meanings of jewelry. It was armor, offering, charm, and message all at once. Each culture polished its values into metal. In every ancient city, from the ziggurats of Ur to the palaces of Thebes, jewelry glowed like captured sunlight. It adorned power, but also preserved faith. For in every age, the shimmer of gold reflected the heartbeat of civilization. In ancient Greece, beauty and virtue were bound together in gold. Jewelry expressed both philosophy and fashion, balance and reason. Every curve mirrored the harmony of their temples and art. Greek women wore earrings shaped like doves, bracelets like vines, and necklaces that shimmered like poetry. Each symbol carried a wish, love, fertility, or victory. To wear them was to embody the god's grace. Craftsmen in Athens perfected granulation, tiny golden beads fused into delicate patterns. The technique demanded precision and patience, like a prayer made visible. Their art transformed metal into living light. As Greek colonies spread across the Mediterranean, so did their designs. From Sicily to Persia, jewelry became a traveling philosophy of beauty. Gold connected cities like invisible sunlight. Then came Rome, empire of marble, might, and magnificence. Jewelry became political, a declaration of status carved in stone and metal. Even the weight of a ring could measure one's influence. Roman generals wore engraved gemstones called intaglios, portraits of victory sealed in crystal. They pressed them into wax to mark decrees of conquest. Authority literally left its impression. Empresses adorned themselves with pearls, believing they were tears of the gods. Cleopatra herself was said to dissolve a pearl in wine to prove her wealth had no limit. In Rome, beauty could be weaponized. Goldsmiths of the empire imported stones from India and Arabia: emerald, onyx, sapphire. The empire's borders glowed with trade and desire. Every gem was a conquest captured in color. In Persia, jewelry reached celestial refinement. Kings wore belts of gold woven with stars and sunbursts. Each motif symbolized divine right and eternal flame. Persian queens preferred delicate crowns shaped like flames. Their jewels caught firelight as they entered the royal hall's reflections of eternity. To shine was to serve the sacred flame. Goldsmiths in Persepolis carved birds, lions, and lotus flowers into their ornaments. Each creature was both decoration and protector. Their art spoke of peace achieved through beauty. Far to the east, Chinese artisans shaped power from jade and gold together. Dragons coiled around bracelets, symbolizing imperial strength and wisdom. Only those favored by the emperor could wear such sacred art. In China's Han Dynasty, gold filigree earrings and phoenix hairpins defined noble beauty. The phoenix meant rebirth, a promise that the empire, like fire, would always return. Adornment became prophecy. Meanwhile, across oceans, the Maya and Aztec civilizations created jewelry from jade, obsidian, and turquoise. They saw gemstones as living beings, each color a heartbeat of nature. Their rulers wore entire rainbows of authority. In the Andes, the Moche and Inca shaped gold like clay, thin as petals. They believed the sun gifted its essence to metal. Every ornament was a fragment of daylight captured forever. Across cultures, jewelry defined not just wealth but hierarchy, told who led, who prayed, and who was chosen. Power needed to be seen to be believed. Religious leaders wore pendants carved with divine symbols. Soldiers carried protective talismans into battle. Even merchants trusted amulets more than luck itself. The deeper the gem's color, the stronger its power was believed to be. Rubies for courage, emeralds for wisdom, sapphires for truth. Civilizations spoke through color long before they spoke through words. For artisans, crafting jewelry was sacred labor. They worked in silence, believing their hammers echoed in the heavens. Each stroke was a prayer in gold. By now, across continents, jewelry had become a global language of power. Kings and queens didn't just wear it, they ruled through it. In the gleam of their ornaments, empires saw their reflection. In medieval Europe, jewels returned as tools of faith. Crosses encrusted with gems shimmered under candlelight in cathedrals. To shine was to honor heaven itself. Kings and bishops competed in ornamentation, their crowns growing taller each century. Gold no longer just symbolized power, it became divine proof. To wear it was to claim God's favor. Knights carried rings engraved with crests of their houses. Each seal marked allegiance, loyalty, and pride. A single gemstone could decide a kingdom's fate. In Islamic dynasties, calligraphy replaced human figures in design. Golden verses adorned pendants and swords alike. Faith itself became the jewel. In Africa, royalty expressed power through volume layers of beads, bronze, and ivory. Each necklace was a story, each pattern a lineage. Adornment was history worn aloud. Among the Akan and Yoruba, gold dust itself was sacred. Rulers sprinkled it on their skin during coronations. Even the air shimmered with power. The Middle Ages gave way to Renaissance brilliance. Artists crafted jewelry that reflected human beauty as divine art. Pearls, rubies, and diamonds became signatures of intellect and grace. Cameos carved in shell and coral told stories of gods and heroes. Pendant could contain an entire myth. To wear one was to carry history against the heart. The age of exploration flooded Europe with new gems, emeralds from the New World, diamonds from India. Jewelry became empire in miniature. Each gem was a conquered land. Queens like Elizabeth I turned pearls into political armor. Their brilliance masked strategy. Their calm gleam hid ambition. Jewelry became diplomacy disguised as beauty. In the East, Mughal emperors blended Persian and Indian traditions. They wore jewels heavy with rubies and emeralds, living gardens of light. Each gem was poetry cut into stone. The peacock throne shimmered with thousands of gems, blinding courtiers and ambassadors alike. It was not just a seat, but a declaration. Power could dazzle. In Japan, samurai families used crests on silver ornaments to mark their clan. Even warriors understood identity gleams best when forged with purpose. By the 18th century, diamonds ruled Europe. They were symbols of Enlightenment light trapped in perfection. Quartz glittered like constellations brought to earth. The French Revolution dimmed those lights. Jewelry once worshipped as divine was now condemned as arrogance. Gold learned the weight of silence. But beauty cannot stay buried. By the Victorian age, mourning jewelry returned black jet and hair lockets preserving love. Beyond life, jewelry began to remember instead of rule. Industrialization made adornment available to all. Mass production turned exclusivity into expression. For the first time, beauty belonged to the people. Yet even today, leaders and icons still wear their power as light. Crowns, medals, luxury watches, modern echoes of ancient emblems. Civilization continues to shimmer. In every gem ever cut, history breathes. A ruby still burns with courage. A pearl still whispers devotion. We inherit meanings older than memory itself. Jewelry began as survival, became worship, and endures as identity. Across time, it has defined not only power but humanity's need to shine. For as long as we seek light, gold will remember us.